schedule of games. And, of course, the big story continues to be the Michigan sign-stealing investigation. And today they suspended football staffer Connor Stallions, which, got to tell you, pretty bitchin' name.
Honestly, yeah.
I mean, can you imagine walking into a place and going, hey, Connor Stallions? Like it is very much a major market 6 and 10 o'clock newsman name.
Yes, it's very accurate.
Like very much like,
agree.
Yeah, Action News with Connor Stallions and Gale Justice. And then like you just roll into it.
You might have oversold it with Gale Justice there, but
oh, listen, and they've got a weather guy named Storms McGinty.
Come on now.
I mean, that's what Connor Stallions is. Now, right now, he's masquerading as a,
sign-stealing analyst.
A sign-stealing analyst who he went to the Naval Academy. He was an ex-military guy that works on that. So whatever he's doing, but Connor Stallions, like you're telling me if you're watching the 6 o'clock news in your town, and like the one dude is named like Carl Jones. And then you're going to watch Connor Stallions. That's who you're going to watch on your local news. But he's been suspended with pay from Michigan. He's a member of their recruiting department that specializes in analytics. And he is the central to the NCAA's investigation into the sign-stealing scandal. Say that 3 times fast.
Sign-stealing scandal, sign-stealing scandal, sign-stealing scandal.
Congratulations.
Yes.
He retired from the Marine Corps in 2022 and joined Michigan's football staff as an analyst. He has deactivated all of his social media, including his LinkedIn bio today, but that LinkedIn bio said his military background is useful in identifying the opponent's most likely course of action and most dangerous course of action and identifying and exploiting critical vulnerabilities.
I'm just imagining how giddy Harbaugh was in the interview to hire him.
And then, there's some contact, like he was at Michigan and then he went to like Navy, like he's been through. So sign stealing isn't illegal in college football, but off-campus in-person scouting of future opponents is. Now, to go into some of the history for why it is, it's the same reason that there's no radios in the helmet, regardless of what they'll say about insurance and making sure they're concussion proof and all, as they can be, because they are in the NFL. You just call them up. Is that the smaller schools with smaller budgets don't want to have them. But I would say that at the FBS level, everyone can afford it.
Yeah, I think that's a good baseline.
I think everyone can afford it. I think that is now with television deals and all that, like that. I don't know how much it costs, but I assume it costs. It's probably an add-on package with your coach's headsets. I mean, you've got all those. Like, I think you can afford it.
And look, if LSU is putting air conditioning in helmets at this point, I think that everyone in the FBS can probably get on our quarterback and our middle linebacker have a radio in their helmets that cuts off 15 seconds before the play.
Yeah, absolutely. So, here's the deal. I've never even had a problem with if they could just yell at them the whole time. I think it probably benefits the player a little bit more because they can't, to me, that's more about not like the cheating aspect or like an advantage of just a coach being able to yell in his quarterback's headset, like, and that would annoy me.
I mean, as long as you can keep them from cheating by having the coach like in the box calling down what's open to the quarterback during the play.
Yeah, I know that's part of it too, but I do think that, like reason A is what you just said, hey, by the way, the safety just fell down, turn to your right and we're going to score a touchdown. Or like just him like cursing and yelling. What would the headset sound like in Zach Wilson's ears in a lot of those games he's played so far if they just left it on? I mean, just coaches up there flipping Nathaniel Hackett like flipping out.
Get rid of it. Get rid of it. Throw the damn ball, Zach.
Yeah. So that's part of that's the lesser reason, but the one that I think people would be most relieved with if you were an actual quarterback or a linebacker. Just not having the guy being able to yell in your head the whole time.
Quarterback goes from being like the coolest job to being one of the most annoying jobs on the football field, I feel like, at that point.
Can I be a wide receiver or a tight end or something? You know what? I'm just going to eat a bunch of cheeseburgers. I'm going to be a guard.
I ran a lot in college. Just put me a running back coach.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, but they've suspended Connor Stallions during this investigation, and there are varying degrees of reports, and this has actually been kind of being looked into for a long time. There's a lot of Big Ten teams. Ohio State was aware of Connor Stallions last year. Ross Dellinger's done a lot of great reporting on this, as he does everything he reports on, in that there is, he's, they're seeing if it's a combination of in-person scouting plus video and all these things that you're not supposed to be doing. But on-campus scouting was banned in 1994 as a cost-saving measure. In high school, they on-campus scout. And in the pros, they send scout. You can send scouts to games. Now, the Patriots have, if you'll remember, Jack, got in trouble a few years ago because the people they sent to, I think, scout the Bengals. I think it was the Bengals that they were scouting and doing some things that were not allowed. I remember because either the Bengals or somebody was playing the Cowboys that year, whoever it was, and there was like an increased protocol for the scouts after that happened because that team was coming up before they played the Patriots. So it was, they'd gotten caught like a couple weeks before, and the Cowboys were kind of the team in the middle. I wish I could remember, but I remember being in the press box and, it kind of being the scuttlebutt of like, oh, well, yeah, they had to do something different with the scouts and, all of this. So, there's that. I mean, so it is cost cutting. So it's not necessarily even a thing about stealing signs, and stealing signs happen. Brent Venables is apparently just like he's second nature to him, that he's able to pick these things up. He's really, really good at it.
If you see it on tape that you're watching in your living room as you're prepping for the game, if you see it in person across the field, I feel like that's pretty fair game.
And look, just like in baseball, stealing signs is commonplace. It's just when you're not doing it with just your eyes, when you're adding in technology to it, that's where it becomes cheating and not gamesmanship. Like, that's the line between cheating and gamesmanship. And
like, if your tape is the broadcast tape, I feel fine in that scenario using the technology. You know,
but if you have special cameras that are recording just
for the signs,
just like if you've got signals on the defensive coordinator and the people holding up, Mickey Mouse, Burt Reynolds, burrito, like whatever that code means, and then you've got a code breaker recording that and taking it all down, then I think you're now over the line of gamesmanship and now into cheating. Mm-hmm. That's what, like, the Astros, here's the deal, like, when they tried to, like, well, everybody steals signs, yeah, but not everybody videotapes it, and then during at-bats goes in,
bangs on a trash can,
watches it, and then has somebody bang on a trash can. Like, there's subtlety and nuance to this and skills that are required. Yes, if your catcher isn't good enough at disguising them, and the guy at second base can pick up what you're doing, and then he can signal into the hitter what's coming, yeah, that's kind of on you.
Yeah,
I mean, but
absolutely.
And look,
but if you got a camera out somewhere in center field that's doing the job when you don't have a runner on second, and you're relaying it through a bunch of other technology to the hitter, no matter what the situation is. Oof.
And I saw Bud Elliott, does the podcast with Danny Cannell from CBS, and Bud is a firebrand, like whatever you watch and feel about him. Anyway, but he had a whole thing. If you're not cheating, you're not trying. All those different things. Where I think, and he mentioned, as he would because he's another FSU guy like me, but he mentioned that sign stealing came into effect in the 2013 national championship game, which it did. But I would call that less of sign stealing and more of Damian Craig, who worked on Florida State staff the year before, just remembered them, and Jimbo wasn't savvy enough to change them until his players came over and said, hey, you remember that guy that used to work here? Yeah, he knows what we're doing. So we've got to change that. And then it's like, oh, yeah, crap, he did used to work here. Better get him back.
Yeah.
And now Damian Craig is with Jimbo at Texas A&M, and they work well together. But that was, say sign stealing. if I told you something, like if I, Jack, if I put this bottle of water out there for you and told you could have it, and then you took it much later than I offered it to you.
I stole it.
You didn't steal it. You just took it later. And
no, I stole it, Paul.
Yeah, I didn't change it. I didn't take it back. I didn't,
Look, the point is you never wanted me to have it, therefore it's stealing.
Yeah, I guess so. But
yeah, no, it's really interesting. And when it comes to the, like, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying thing, I would like to kind of compare it to if you're not using the whole field inside the boundaries, you're not doing your job as a coach or a player. But if you go outside the boundaries and expect to be like have those yards or that touchdown count when you stepped out of bounds, no, you should be ruled down.
Yeah, look, part of the thing about some of the new, like the spread offense was, and why defense coordinators had such a hard time dealing with it and why they had to change the rules is that one of the things you could take advantage of substitutions is you've got your guys playing so far outside the hash.
You could sneak guys on and off.
That you could just be like, okay, you're on, you're off. And like this defensive back comes on and you've had one guy, basically run 75 yards down the field at a dead sprint. He's coming back sucking wind. And then you're going to go over the top with the guy that you've just had waiting over here, who's the guy you really wanted to throw the ball to in the first place. So that's why they have that substitution rule where the umpire stands over the ball and waits, to make sure that everybody can sub.
I'm surprised that rule hasn't been abused more.
Now it's like, I think there's just, you see it.
Just like to run down play clocks on teams who don't have time, stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, the offense substitutes first. So like if the defense chooses to substitute and the offense isn't there, then the offense is just going to go, oh, well, here we go. But if the offense subs, then
I remember seeing one game that ended because the offense chose to sub and the defense took its sweet time to sub.
Yeah, I do think that
annoyed
eventually
the hell out of me.
I think that eventually there'll be some sort of if somebody keeps trying to do that.
I think 10 seconds is reasonable to run a guy off and run another guy on.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
I feel like
you can call the delay.
Eventually, someone will try and take advantage of it so much so and so openly that they'll have to add like a cap.
And I've seen several like delay of game penalties in the end of game, like in a 2-minute drill where they throw a pass to the middle of the field and then the defender like lays on top of the guy for a second, pretends like, oh, I'm stuck. Look at me. I'm a big defensive tackle. Oh, darn my midsection and ab work. Help me up. And then they get the delay of game, or they like. I've seen it even more. I saw it in an NFL game, which I thought was wild because they're going to be on top of more than anything. Where a guy just kicked the ball away.
Yep.
Like they just kicked the ball away. Like, well, there's the clock stopped and they're 5 yards closer to their hot shot. So, best laid plans of mice and men. So yeah, I like there is games like there's the line between gamesmanship and cheating, and what needs to be figured out in here in this whole Connor Stallions new 7 anchor thing is this gamesmanship? Is this guy just really good at this because of his background, or has he stepped over the line and cheated? And then, well, the top 5's about this today. My question will remain, so what are you going to do about it? What are you going to do? Like, what is the NCAA going to do about it? If Jim Harbaugh wins the national title this year and then leaves and goes to the NFL, and then 2 years from now the NCAA decides to get in his kitchen, A, does it matter? And B, nobody at Michigan will ever feel like they didn't win the national title. Vacating doesn't matter, especially not to the people that you beat along the way. And you're just going to set up a situation where you're going to complain for all time, like the Dodgers will about the 2017 Astros.
Well, of course.
And the Dodgers are justifiable in saying like, hey, like there was something going on here, but you can't it doesn't take away you didn't take away the trophy. You can't do it over again.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it goes. In the next segment, we'll talk to